the Ubaid statuettes. They were discovered in Iraq back in 1919. A lot of the Sumerian tablets talk about another culture existing, and it really goes into a prehistory culture, so there's not a lot of information about them, but there were these statuettes discovered at which is supposed to be one of the very first cities. If you take a really close look at this, you'll see that this is a reptilian or representation of a reptilian type of a hominid that's actually breastfeeding a reptilian baby. So this is obviously most likely a representation of a female bilateral bipedal reptilian hominid that's breastfeeding a reptilian baby. That's really incredible, guys, because as I've stated before, in ancient times, people didn't have time to make up stories like this. They only etched or created statues or etched into stone what they actually saw, learned, or knew about. And because they know the difference between what a cow or cattle looks like and this statuette, you would have to believe that this is something that they actually saw, okay? And this culture was very advanced because at you have evidence of, paved streets, flushing toilets, advanced masonry, the whole works. So these beings that existed back then, in my personal opinion, date back much further than the 7,000 year estimate. I'm thinking that they're actually probably closer to 15 to 20,000 years, probably before the Ice Age. But here goes, a male. This male's got an object in his hand, and he's got these things across his chest and his shoulders, these nudges or nodules across his chest and his shoulders. You can clearly see we're looking at something that's kind of reptilianish, representing the reptilianish type of a hominid, being. They obviously are, to me, what I would consider to be sentient beings. I don't think that these are just wild animals. And there's not a lot of information about them, but I believe that this culture was already here. These beings were here when the Anunnaki or the Atlanteans actually arrived. I don't think that this has anything to do with the Anunnaki or the Atlanteans at all. I think that they were already here, most likely living amongst other types of hominids. There were many different types of hominids in ancient times. Homo sapiens sapien, which is what we are the new kids on the block. We really just arrived here in a geological time scale, just in a blink of an eye, we arrived. But these beings, they were here, and the evidence of them has been found. These are not the only two types of statuettes. These are two of my favorite replica of the actual artifacts, but there have been some found with, a male figure, a reptilian holding a staff, maybe symbolizing some type of rulership or kingship over people. There's been many different types of them have been discovered, but they really represent, to me, an ancient race of ancient people that were here long before the Anunnaki and Atlanteans arrived, and may have not only interacted with the existing hominids on this planet, but may have even mated with them. It's very possible. You can't rule anything out. When you hear people talk about reptilians, well, they really did exist, and the evidence that we have are statuettes that have been discovered in Iraq that show these beings as reptilian humanoids, bilateral bipedal humanoids that actually, one's breastfeeding a baby and the other one's holding some type of tool in his hands, wearing a loincloth. They were here, guys. They were real. And I do believe that eventually we'll come to understand the true, amazing reality of our ancient past and our potential progenitors or ancient ancestors. I want to talk today about the Istanbul Shem. Okay, this is an amazing artifact. This is my scale replica. In Topkapı, Turkey, this was discovered by a farmer. It was then taken over to a museum and put in a drawer. And the late great Zachariah Sitchin, who had heard about this, went to the museum in Turkey in 1997, and he got the curator to pull this out of a drawer, and he took a good look at it. He says, "Oh my God, you guys, you have one of the most amazing artifacts here, and you've got it hidden away." There's so much detail on this artifact that they had assumed that it was just a fake. Come to find out, after further testing, it wasn't. It's real. This is more evidence, in my personal opinion, of ancient astronauts that were, somebody took the time to etch and carve what they had saw. Now, there's some accounts out there on Instagram that will say that if you look at it this way, it's a face. I just have never seen a face in this. I just can't see that this is any kind of a face whatsoever, that this is just supposed to be a statue. No matter which angle I turn it, it doesn't look like a face of a statue at all. I mean, if this was these people were very, very skilled at carving, why wouldn't they have carved the mouth here? Why would the neck look like this? It just didn't make any sense to me. And plus the fact that even in the artifact and this one, the replica, it can't stand up on its own. So if it can't stand up, what good is it if it's supposed to be some type of a statue if it can't even stand up on its own? To me, what I get is that there's some type of a being on the inside with his hands on some type of controls potentially. And from the back, it looks like exhaust nodules that help with propulsion. Whether this is something that goes into space or whether it's a hovercraft that goes along the ground, we don't know. I just personally think that this particular object is most likely evidence of an advanced ancient astronaut thousands of years ago that interacted with mankind, or maybe is mankind. Both possibilities. Doesn't have to be an alien. So this is something that was discovered in Turkey. It's now on display. It's called the Istanbul Shem. This thing really is ancient, at least 2,500 years old. So this is an amazing artifact, guys. There's so much stuff out there that we just don't know. There's so much pointing to the fact that we were at a high level of civilization in the ancient past, but we're headed back to that again. And this is why a lot of the modern science that you see now are duplicating things that are talked about in ancient texts. Because why? Because I personally believe that they're researching these ancient texts to look for new ideas and opportunities to create what? More advanced technology like we had in the ancient past. This is something that I talk about in my book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. I talk about the fact that when you can see the correlation, and I make the correlation in my book for you, I show you ancient texts and what they're talking about utilizing technologically, and then I come into modern science and I pull out the modern science that matches what's in the ancient text, and I put them side by side in the book. So you can see exactly what's being said there, and you can see how what they're saying is the same exact thing we've just now invented or rediscovered, basically, in modern times. Everything is a rediscovery. Everything, including even the metric system. We've now discovered that the metric system started with the Proto-Sumerian language. So, that's where the metric system came from. We didn't discover the metric system. It already existed. We rediscovered it again, is basically what we did. Or maybe the guy who discovered it went and read those some information about these ancient Sumerians and discovered that they had a metric system, and he just said, well, nobody really knows about this. I'll just go ahead and use this. But the metric system has been around for thousands of years. Not decades, thousands of years, okay? Little things like this that lead us down the path of unknowing, because we hear in school that this is, something new. We hear in school that this didn't exist before. When you go into these ancient tablets, you're going to find a lot of technology that already existed. That's why I wrote the book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. You got to check it out, guys. There's a reason why it's a bestseller on Amazon right now. Why? Because I'm really exposing a lot of ancient secrets there that we're now just tapping into. Like, for example, Thoth talks about taking photons and turning photons into matter. Sounds like, wow, that sounds like magic. No, well, guess what? I give you the Real Science article from peer-reviewed Real Science, duplicated in a laboratory just recently, where we've now taken photons and turned photons into solid matter. Yeah, and I put it side by side in the book. This is what I do throughout the entire book. So it really is a mind-opening, mind-blowing book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. You got to check it out. I'm telling you, it's going to be an amazing read for you. It's going to really open your mind up and really give you a better understanding of what really happened in the ancient past and how we're just now trying to ascend back to that level again, okay? And this is one of the little keys to the puzzle.